Captain Jake Morrison stood at the front window of his ship and looked at the blue world that grew bigger each hour. His hand shook just a little as he watched Earth come closer. 3,000 years had passed since his people last saw their home world. 3,000 long years of flying through the cold dark space between stars. 3,000 years of waiting for this moment. The ship called New Horizon was huge. It carried 50,000 people who had never seen Earth, but knew every story about it. Their great-great-great-grandparents had told stories. Those stories had been passed down from parent to child for all these years. Every person on the ship knew what had happened. Every person remembered the betrayal. Commander Lisa Parker walked up behind Jake and handed him a data pad. Her face was hard like stone. She had spent her whole life preparing for this day. The reports are in, Captain. Earth looks just like our old records said it would. But the life signs are wrong. Very wrong. Jake took the pad and read the numbers. His jaw got tight. These are not human life signs. No, sir. They are not. Our enemies are still there. The Zephyrians and their friends have made Earth their home. They think we are all dead. They think they won. Jake looked back at the blue world. Somewhere down there were the creatures that had forced his people to run. The same creatures that had lied and smiled and acted like friends right up until the day they attacked. The same creatures that had hunted human ships across the galaxy, trying to kill every last person. How many ships do they have? Jake asked. About 200 in orbit around Earth. Maybe 50 more around the moon. Their technology looks old, Captain, very old. Like they stopped trying to get better after we left. Jake almost smiled. Almost. His people had not stopped trying to get better. For 3,000 years, they had built new things, better things, stronger things. They had turned their anger into tools. They had turned their hate into weapons. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Clark came running up to them. He was young but smart. His family had been engineers for many generations. Captain, the deep scans are finished. You need to see this. Jake followed Ryan to the main computer room. The walls were covered with pictures and numbers. Pictures of Earth from high above. Pictures that made Jake feel sick. Look at this, Ryan said, and pointed to a picture of what used to be London. They tore down everything. Every building, every road, every park. They built their own city on top of it. Jake stared at the picture. Where Big Ben used to stand, there was now a tall, twisted tower that looked like it was made of living metal. Where the Thames River used to flow, there was now a channel of bright green liquid. Show me New York, Jake said quietly. The picture changed. Manhattan Island was still there, but nothing else was the same. The skyscrapers were gone. In their place stood buildings that looked like giant flowers made of glass and steel. Central Park was now a lake of something that glowed blue. What about the other cities? Lisa asked. Ryan changed the pictures fast. Paris, Tokyo, Moscow, Sydney. Every human city had been destroyed and rebuilt. Every single one. They did not just take our world, Jake said. They erased it. They tried to make it like we never existed at all. There is more, Captain Ryan said. His voice got quieter. We found the graves. The room got very quiet. Everyone knew what that meant. How many? Lisa asked. We think about 2 billion people were still on Earth when we ran away. The scans show mass burial sites all over the planet. Very old burial sites. Jake closed his eyes. 2 billion people, men and women and children, who could not escape when the ships left. People who trusted that their government would protect them. People who believed Zephyrians when they said they just wanted the fighting to stop. They killed them all, Jake said. Yes, sir. Every human left on Earth. The burial sites are exactly 3,000 years old. Jake opened his eyes. They were not sad anymore. They were cold. Get me Admiral Sullivan on the come. Ryan pressed some buttons, and a woman appeared on the big screen. Admiral Kate Sullivan was 70 years old, but she looked 40. Medical science had been one of the things humans had gotten very good at during their long trip through space. She commanded a fleet of 500 ships. Ships that carried weapons the Zephyrians could not even imagine. "Hello, Jake," Kate said. "I can see Earth behind you. Beautiful as ever." "Kate, we just found out they killed everyone. Every human who stayed behind." Kate's face did not change, but her eyes got darker. "I see. Well then, that makes things much simpler, does it not?" "Yes, ma'am, it does." "Jake, I want you to know that every ship captain in the fleet has just received the same information you have. I have been in contact with the other colony ships, the ones that went to different parts of the galaxy. They are already on their way. In 6 months, we will have 2,000 ships here." Jake felt something warm in his chest. Not happiness. Something harder than happiness. "What are your orders, Admiral?" "We take back what is ours, Jake. All of it, and we make sure that no one will ever try to take it from us again. These creatures wanted to erase humanity from existence. They failed. Now they get to learn what happens when you try to destroy something that refuses to die." The connection ended. Jake looked around the room. Everyone was staring at him, waiting. "You heard the Admiral," Jake said. "Send the message to all departments. We are going home. And this time, we are staying." Outside the window, Earth kept getting bigger. Soon they would be close enough to see the details, close enough to see what the enemy had built on the bones of human civilization, close enough to start taking it all back. The long journey was almost over. The real work was about to begin. Dr. Alex Morgan worked fast in his lab on the research ship Retribution. Around him, machines hummed and beeped as they tested samples of air and water and soil from Earth. Alex had spent his whole life studying the old records of what Earth used to be like. Now he was seeing what it had become. The numbers on his screen made him feel sick. The air was wrong. Not poison, but wrong. The oxygen levels were too high. The nitrogen was too low. Someone had changed the very air that humans used to breathe. "Computers show me the biological scan results," he said. New pictures appeared on his screen. Pictures of trees and plants and animals. None of them looked right. The trees were too tall, and their leaves were blue instead of green. The animals looked like Earth animals, but they were different. A bird that looked like a robin, but had 4 wings, a deer with purple fur and eyes that glowed in the dark. Alex rubbed his eyes. They changed everything. Every single living thing. His assistant, Dr. Kelly Wright, came over with more data. "Alex, you need to see this. The ocean scans just came back." Alex looked at the new pictures. The oceans were still blue, but the life inside was alien. Fish with crystal scales. Whales that had metal spines running down their backs. Coral reefs that looked like cities made of light. "How long would this take?" Alex asked. "To change a whole planet like this?" Kelly checked her computer. With their technology, maybe 500 years. Maybe more. They did not just move in, Alex. They remade the entire world to suit themselves. Alex sat down hard in his chair. 500 years of work. 500 years of destroying every trace of natural Earth life and replacing it with their own. What about the humans who stayed behind? Could they have survived this? No way. The air alone would have killed them in a few years. The food would have been poison to human bodies. Even if the Zephyrians had not hunted them down, the planet itself would have killed them. On the other side of Earth, Colonel Sam Davis and his team moved through the ruins of New York City. They wore special suits that let them walk unseen by alien eyes. The technology was something humans had built during their long trip through space. It bent light around them like water. The city above ground was beautiful in an alien way. The buildings reached high into the sky like twisted vines. Gardens of blue and silver plants grew on every surface. Strange music played from hidden speakers. Aliens walked the streets. Tall, thin creatures with 4 arms and skin like polished metal. But Sam was not interested in the city above. His job was to map what lay below. His team had found entrance to the old subway tunnels. Tunnels that went deep under the alien city. "Keep your weapons ready, Sam," told his team. "We do not know what we will find down here." They climbed down, through a hole in the street. Their lights cut through the darkness. The tunnels were still there. Old human tunnels from 3,000 years ago. But they had been changed. The walls were covered with a clear, hard material. Behind the material, Sam could see things, human things, old cars, street signs, pieces of buildings, even human skeletons still wearing their clothes. "My God," said Sergeant Bill Hayes, "it is like a museum." Sam touched the wall. The material was warm under his fingers. "Not a museum, Bill, a trophy room." They walked deeper into the tunnels. More walls, more human objects frozen behind the clear material. A child's bicycle, a wedding dress, a computer from the old days. Thousands and thousands of things that showed how humans used to live. In one large room they found something that made Sam's blood run cold. Behind a huge wall of the clear material was an entire human house. A living room with furniture and pictures on the walls. A kitchen with dishes still on the table. And in the chairs around the table were human skeletons. A family, 2 adults and 2 children. "They kept them," Sam said quietly. "They killed them, and then they kept them like dolls in a display case." His radio crackled. It was intelligence. Officer Maria Santos calling from orbit. "Sam, we just broke their communication codes. You need to hear this." Sam pressed his radio button. "Go ahead, Maria. I have been listening to their broadcasts for the past hour." "Sam, they are celebrating. Today is a holiday for them. They call it Victory Day, the day they finished hunting down the last human colony ship." Sam felt ice in his stomach. "What do you mean, the last colony ship?" "According to their records, they spent 2,000 years hunting us, Sam. Every human colony ship that fled Earth, every human settlement on distant planets. They found them all and destroyed them. They think they killed every human in the galaxy except for us." Sam looked around at the frozen human artifacts, at the family sitting dead at their dinner table for 3,000 years. "How many ships did we lose, Maria?" "Their records show they destroyed over 300 colony ships, ships carrying millions of people." "Sam, they did not just kick us off Earth. They tried to make humans extinct." Sam's team stood quiet in the dark tunnel. Everyone was thinking the same thing. Somewhere out there in space were the graves of millions of humans. People who had run just like they had run. People who had not run far enough or fast enough. "There is more," Maria said. "I found their history files. They are very proud of what they did. They teach their children about the Great Cleansing, about how they saved the galaxy from the human disease. Sam, they think killing us all was the best thing they ever did." Sam turned off his radio and looked at his team. Good soldiers, all of them. People who had trained their whole lives for this mission. People who thought they were coming home to fight for Earth. Now they knew the truth. This was not about taking back Earth. This was about payback for genocide. This was about making sure that the creatures who tried to wipe out humanity would pay for what they did. "Sergeant Hayes," Sam said. "Yes, sir. Change of mission. We are not just mapping these tunnels. We are counting everything. Every human artifact. Every skeleton. Every piece of evidence. Admiral Sullivan is going to want a full report on what they did down here." "What kind of report, sir?" Sam looked at the dead family behind the wall. 3,000 years they had been sitting there. 3,000 years of being trophies in an alien museum. "The kind of report that explains why there will be no mercy," Sam said. "The kind that explains why some crimes are too big to forgive." Above them the alien city hummed with life. Creatures going about their daily business. Creatures who had no idea that the children of their victims were watching from the shadows. Creatures who were about to learn that some things should stay dead, but not this time. This time the dead had come back, and they had brought friends. General Chris Thompson watched the main screen in his command center as thousands of tiny dots moved across a map of Earth. Each dot was smaller than a grain of sand, but more dangerous than any weapon the aliens had ever seen. The nanobots were his creation. Tiny machines that could think and hide and work together like a swarm of invisible ants. "How many are active now?" he asked his chief engineer. 2 million units deployed, General. They have spread into every major city on Earth, every computer network, every power grid, every communication system. The aliens have no idea they are there. Chris nodded. 3 months ago, he had launched the first wave of nanobots from ships hidden behind the moon. The tiny machines had floated down to Earth like dust. They had crawled into every alien device they could find. Now they waited for his command. "What about their military systems?" "Completely infiltrated, sir. We have access to their weapons, their ships, their defense networks. When you give the word, we can shut down everything at once. They will be blind and helpless in seconds." Chris smiled. It was not a nice smile. For 3,000 years humans had dreamed of this moment. 3,000 years of planning and building and preparing. The aliens thought they had won the war. They had no idea. The war was just starting. Engineer Beth Williams worked in the construction bay of the ship, called Hammer. Around her giant machines built weapons and tools from raw metal and energy. The construction bay was 10 miles long and 5 miles wide. It could build almost anything humans needed. "Status report," Beth called out. "Orbital Platform 7 is complete," her supervisor called back. "Platform 8 will be ready in 6 hours. Beth looked out the window at their work. Floating in space around Earth were 20 massive platforms. Each one was bigger than the alien space stations. Each one carried weapons that could destroy entire cities. The aliens could not see them because of the stealth shields, technology that made human ships invisible to alien eyes. "What about the defense grid?" Beth asked. 90% complete? We have weapon platforms at every major gravity well in the system. Nothing gets in or out without our permission." Beth felt proud of her work. In just 4 months, humans had built a military network around Earth that was stronger than anything the aliens had. They had done it right, under alien noses. The enemy still thought they were alone in their stolen system. "Begin Phase 2 construction," Beth ordered. "I want manufacturing platforms around every planet. If any aliens try to run, we need to be ready to chase them." Dr. Nick Roberts sat across from his prisoner in a small white room. The alien looked like a tall, thin human, but its skin was silver and it had 4 arms. Its name was Zeph Colleen, and it had been a historian on Earth for 200 years. "Tell me about Victory Day," Nick said in the alien language. The creature's eyes brightened. It loved to talk about Victory Day. Oh, what a glorious time that was. The final cleansing of the human disease from our galaxy. My great ancestor was part of the hunting fleets that tracked down the last colony ships. Nick kept his face calm, but inside he felt sick. "How did you find them?" "Patience and skill, friend Nick. We followed their energy trails. We tracked their communications. We never gave up. It took 2,000 years, but we found every last nest of them, even the ones that thought they had hidden beyond our reach." "What did you do when you found them?" Zeph Colleen made a sound like laughing. "We cleansed them, of course. Quick and clean. No torture. We are not monsters, friend Nick. We simply removed a threat to galactic peace." Nick made notes on his pad. "How many humans did your people kill?" "The historians estimate 12 billion, maybe more. They bred so fast it was hard to keep count. But we were thorough, very thorough. 12 billion. Nick wrote the number down carefully. 12 billion men and women and children murdered by creatures who thought they were doing good work. "Why did you keep Earth?" Nick asked. "Why not just destroy it too?" "Earth is beautiful, friend Nick. Perfect for our needs once we cleaned it up. We spent 500 years making it pure again, removing all traces of human corruption. Now it is a paradise. Nick finished his notes and stood up. Thank you for the information, Zeph Cullen. It has been very helpful. Will I be released soon, friend Nick? I have done nothing wrong. I am just a historian. Nick looked at the creature that was proud of genocide, proud of hunting down and killing 12 billion people. I will let my superiors know of your cooperation. Nick left the room and walked to the communication center. Captain Morrison was waiting for him on the main screen. What did you learn? Jake asked. They are proud of it, Jake. All of it. The genocide, the hunting fleets, the destruction of our colonies. They see it as their greatest achievement. They teach their children that killing us was a holy mission. Jake's face got hard. How many did they kill total? 12 billion. Maybe more. And Jake, they enjoyed it. This creature I just talked to was happy to tell me every detail. They do not think they did anything wrong. Any regrets? Any second thoughts? None. They think they saved the galaxy from us. In their minds, we were a disease, and they were the cure. Jake was quiet for a long moment. Nick, I want you to interview every alien prisoner we capture. I want complete records of their attitudes and beliefs. Command needs to understand exactly what we are dealing with. Already on it, Jake, but I can tell you right now what I am going to find. These are not people who made a mistake in a war. These are people who set out to exterminate us completely, and they succeeded except for us. The screen went dark and Nick sat alone with his thoughts. Around him the ship hummed with activity. Humans preparing for war. Humans who did not yet know how big this war really was. Through the window he could see Earth. Beautiful blue Earth, where aliens lived in cities built on human graves, where human artifacts were kept like trophies in underground museums, where creatures who had committed genocide celebrated their crime every year. Nick had studied military history his whole life. He knew about wars and battles, and the terrible things people did to each other. But this was different. This was not about land or resources or politics. This was about survival, about making sure that the people who tried to wipe out humanity could never try again. In 6 weeks, Admiral Sullivan would give the final order. In 6 weeks the nanobots would activate. In 6 weeks the orbital weapons would power up. In 6 weeks the hunting would begin. But this time the hunters would be human. And there would be nowhere in the galaxy for their prey to hide. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood in the command center of her flagship, watching the countdown timer reach 0. Around her 200 officers waited in silence. 3,000 years of exile were about to end. 3,000 years of preparation were about to be tested. All ships report ready, Admiral, her communications officer, said. Kate looked at the main screen showing Earth. Down there 12 billion aliens lived in cities built on human bones. They had no idea what was coming. They thought they were safe in their stolen paradise. General Thompson, are your nanobots in position? Kate asked. Yes, ma'am. 2 million active units in every major system on the planet, awaiting your signal. Commander Parker, are the orbital platforms ready? All weapons charged and targeted, Admiral. We have clear shots at every military installation in the system. Kate took a deep breath. Begin Operation Homecoming. Execute Phase 1. Far below on Earth, the nanobots received their signal. In less than 2 seconds, every computer on the planet went dark. Every communication system failed. Every weapon stopped working. Every vehicle shut down. Every power plant went offline. The Zephyrian Collective had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years using technology they had stolen from conquered species. Now that technology turned against them all at once. In cities around Earth, aliens looked up at dark screens and dead controls with growing fear. Phase 1 complete, General Thompson reported. All enemy systems offline. They are completely blind. Phase, to Kate ordered. Commander Parker, you may fire when ready. The orbital platforms that Beth Williams had built opened fire. Beams of pure energy lanced down from space and struck alien military bases. Weapons depots exploded. Spaceports melted into slag. Orbital defense stations simply vanished in flashes of light. The aliens on Earth could do nothing but watch as their military power was destroyed from above. Their ships could not launch. Their weapons could not fire back. Their communication systems could not call for help. All military targets eliminated, Lisa Parker reported. Enemy fleet destroyed. Enemy ground forces neutralized. Kate nodded. Phase 3. Colonel Davis, you are clear to land. Across Earth, human soldiers appeared, out of nowhere. They had been waiting in stealth ships for this moment. Now they moved fast to secure key locations. The aliens who saw them coming could only stare. Humans were supposed to be extinct. Humans were supposed to be gone forever. Colonel Sam Davis led his team through the streets of what used to be New York. The aliens they met did not resist. How could they? Their weapons did not work. Their vehicles did not move. Their communication devices were silent. They stood in the streets, looking confused and afraid. Secured the government buildings, Sam ordered his team. Round up all officials and military officers. Full restraint protocol. No unnecessary violence. His soldiers moved through the alien city with smooth precision. They had trained for this operation their whole lives. Every building was searched. Every alien official was arrested. Every military officer was captured. The aliens did not understand what was happening. Some tried to run, but human soldiers appeared everywhere they turned. Some tried to hide, but human sensors could see through any wall. Some tried to fight with hand weapons, but human armor was too strong. By sunset, the first day was over. Every major city on Earth was under human control. Every alien government official was in custody. Every alien military officer was prisoner. Not one human soldier had been killed. Not one shot had been fired in anger. Dr. Nick Roberts walked through the captured alien government center, reading reports from around the planet. The takeover had been perfect, smooth, and complete, and final. "How are the prisoners?" Jake Morrison asked when Nick called in. Confused, mostly, Nick replied. "They keep asking how we survived, how we came back. Many of them seem to think this is impossible." "What do you mean impossible?" "Jake, they really believed they had killed every human in the galaxy. Some of them are having mental breakdowns. Their entire worldview was based on the idea that they had succeeded in making us extinct." Jake looked tired. He had not slept since the operation began. "Any resistance? Any attempts to fight back?" "None, Jake. They are completely helpless without their technology. It was like arresting children. They have no idea how to fight without their machines doing all the work." "What about their leadership?" Nick checked his notes. "We have captured the High Council, all 12 members. They are asking to speak with our commander. They want to negotiate." Jake laughed, but there was no humor in it. Negotiate. They want to negotiate now. After committing genocide, they want to talk. What should I tell them? Tell them they will get their chance to speak. Tell them Admiral Sullivan will see them soon. Tell them to think very carefully about what they plan to say. Nick ended the call and walked to the detention center where the alien leaders waited. These were the creatures who had ordered the death of 12 billion humans, who had sent hunting fleets across the galaxy to track down every last colony ship, who had celebrated genocide as a victory for galactic peace. Now they sat in human cells looking scared and confused. The High Counselor named Zeph Primalpha kept asking to see a human authority figure. It wanted to explain that this was all a mistake, that humans and Zephyrians could be friends again. Nick looked at the creature through the cell bars. It was old even by alien standards. It had probably been alive when the first human colonies were attacked. It had probably given the orders personally. High Counselor Nick said, "I am Dr. Roberts. I am here to ask you some questions." The creature rushed to the bars. Dr. Roberts, you must listen to me. This attack on our peaceful world is wrong. We have done nothing to deserve this treatment. We demand to speak with your leaders immediately. Nick made notes. Even now, even captured and helpless, the creature thought it was the victim. Hi, Counselor, do you remember the human species? Of course. Dangerous, aggressive creatures that threatened galactic peace. We were forced to defend ourselves against their expansion. But that was long ago. Ancient history. Do you remember what your people did to the humans? We stopped their aggression. We prevented a galactic war. We saved countless lives by acting quickly and decisively. Nick put down his pen. Hi, Counselor, your people hunted down and killed 12 billion humans. You destroyed 300 colony ships. You committed genocide against an entire species. The creature looked confused. We did what was necessary for peace. The humans left us no choice. Surely you understand that difficult decisions must sometimes be made. And now difficult decisions must be made again, Nick said quietly. The difference is this time humans are making them. Nick left the detention center and walked outside. Above him, human ships filled the sky. Around him, human soldiers patrolled the streets of the alien city. In the distance he could see construction crews already starting to tear down alien buildings. The first day of the return was ending. Tomorrow, the real work would begin. The work of deciding what happened to the creatures that had tried to erase humanity from existence. The creatures who still thought they had done the right thing. Admiral Sullivan had been very clear about the mission parameters. This was not about conquest. This was not about revenge. This was about justice, about making sure that what happened to humanity could never happen to anyone else again. The question was what justice looked like when applied to genocide. What justice looked like when the criminals were proud of their crime. What justice looked like when mercy had never been an option for the victims. Nick looked up at the stars and thought about the 12 billion humans who would never see this day, who had died believing that their children would grow up free somewhere among those stars, who had trusted that humanity would survive even if they could not. Tomorrow Admiral Sullivan would decide their fate. Tomorrow the reckoning would truly begin. 6 months had passed since humanity returned to Earth. Admiral Kate Sullivan walked through what had once been the High Council chambers of the Zephyrian Collective. Now it served as the human command center for the entire sector. The alien symbols on the walls had been painted over with human writing. The strange furniture had been replaced with practical human equipment. Kate stopped at a large window and looked down at the city below. Construction crews worked day and night, tearing down alien buildings and replacing them with human structures. The twisted towers were gone. The living metal spires had been melted down. In their place rose familiar shapes, straight lines and right angles, buildings that looked like home. Admiral, the morning briefing is ready, her aide said. Kate walked to the main conference room, where her senior staff waited. On the walls hung maps showing the extent of human expansion. In 6 months, they had taken control of 200 star systems. 200 systems that had once belonged to the collective. Status report, Kate said, as she took her seat. General Thompson spoke first. Earth restoration is ahead of schedule. We have removed 80% of the alien biological modifications. The oceans are nearly clean. The atmosphere is back to normal human levels. We should have full ecological restoration within 2 years. Kate nodded. What about the other worlds? Commander Parker answered. We now control all former collective territory within 50 light-years of Earth. The alien populations have been relocated to designated reservation worlds. No resistance from any species. Casualties. 0 human casualties from combat operations. Some accidents during construction work, but nothing serious. Enemy casualties are minimal. Most surrendered without fighting. Kate was not surprised. The collective species had grown weak during their 3,000 years of easy living. They had forgotten how to fight. They had forgotten that there were consequences for their actions. Dr. Nick Roberts cleared his throat. Admiral, I have completed the psychological evaluations of the collective leadership, all 67 captured officials. My report is ready for your review. Kate took the thick folder he handed her. Summary, please. None of them show any remorse for the genocide, Admiral. Not one. They still believe they did the right thing. Even now, with their civilization destroyed, they claim they were justified in trying to exterminate humanity. Kate flipped through the pages. Interview after interview with alien officials who had ordered the deaths of billions, who had celebrated the hunting of human colonies, who thought their only mistake was not finding humanity's final hiding place. What do they expect to happen to them? Kate asked. They expect to be treated with mercy, Admiral. They point out that they showed mercy to humans by making their deaths quick. They expect the same courtesy in return. Kate closed the folder. Mercy. These creatures expected mercy from the children of the people they had murdered. They expected kindness from the species they had tried to make extinct. Dr. Roberts, what is your professional recommendation for dealing with the collective leadership? Nick was quiet for a moment. Admiral, these beings ordered and carried out genocide. They hunted our people across the galaxy for 2,000 years. They killed 12 billion humans and feel proud of it. In my professional opinion, they represent a clear and permanent danger to human survival. And your recommendation? They cannot be allowed to remain in positions where they could threaten humanity again, ever. Kate stood and walked to the window again. Down in the streets she could see human families walking where alien feet had walked for 3,000 years. Children playing in parks where human bones were buried. People building new lives on the world their ancestors had been forced to abandon. Captain Morrison, report, she said. Jake's voice came through the speakers. He was commanding the expansion fleet that was spread across former collective space. Admiral, we have secured all military installations in the outer systems. No organized resistance anywhere. Most alien military personnel have been transferred to the work camps. Work camps. Yes, ma'am. They are helping to restore the worlds they terraformed, undoing the environmental damage they caused to planets they conquered. It seems appropriate that they should fix what they broke. Kate smiled. Slightly. How are they adjusting to manual labor? Not well, ma'am. Most of them have never done physical work in their lives. But they are learning. They have a lot of time to learn. The door opened and Colonel Davis entered. He had been running security operations on Earth, making sure that no alien agents remained free to cause trouble. Admiral, we found something, Sam said. His voice was tight. What kind of something? Hidden archives, ma'am. Deep under the old alien Capitol building. Records that go back 3,000 years. Complete documentation of the hunting campaigns, ship logs, kill counts, victory celebrations. Kate felt cold. How complete? Everything, Admiral. Names of ships. Names of colonies that were destroyed. Names of human families that were tracked down and killed. They kept detailed records of the entire genocide. And ma'am, they made videos. The room got very quiet. Everyone understood what that meant. Videos of what exactly, Colonel? The attacks, Admiral. The destruction of human colonies. The final moments of our people. They recorded it all. For their historical archives. For training purposes. For entertainment. Kate closed her eyes. Entertainment. The aliens had made movies of murdering human children for their entertainment. How many hours of video? Over 10,000 hours, ma'am. Every major attack was recorded. Every successful hunt was documented. They have 3,000 years of snuff films starring our people. Kate opened her eyes. Around the table her staff was staring at her, waiting for her decision. Waiting to learn what happened to creatures who made entertainment out of genocide. Colonel Davis sealed those archives. Complete classification. No one sees those recordings without my direct authorization. Yes, ma'am. Kate looked around the room at the people who had followed her across the galaxy. Good people who had given their lives to bringing humanity home. People who deserved to live in a galaxy where their children would be safe. Ladies and gentlemen, 6 months ago we returned to a galaxy that thought we were extinct. We have proven them wrong. But now we face a choice. Do we show mercy to the creatures who showed us none,